that the officers, both who went the 20 and the ones who are deployed from your record, were not properly designated to do those respective things they did?
Yes.
Okay. And for purposes of making that contention to this Senate, you referred to a certain record, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was that record?
The report that I got from my deputy.
Okay. Now, when you say they were not deployed, is it a document or just a word of mouth from the ward admin, sub-ward admin?
You know, the procedure of deployment.
Just answer. Do you have a record of your deployments? Let me ask it like that.
The record is not there.
You don't have any record showing deployments?
Nothing like that.
Okay.
Because they were not properly deployed.
Okay. Do you have a record of all your enforcement officers?
Yes, I have.
And have you annexed it to any of your documents?
Right now, no.
No. Okay. So you do not have the record of the totality of your officers. Are those officers designated to do certain duties?
Enforcement officers are supposed to do enforcement duties.
No, just answer my question.
Yes.
Are the total population of the enforcement officers in your portfolio assigned to duties?
They are assigned to duties.
Is there a record showing that this one is supposed to be at the hospital, this one is supposed to be at the stadium, this is supposed to be at the county offices? Is there a record showing?
That is.
Okay. And it is true you haven't brought that to this county assembly, to this Senate, have you?
The summons...
Please answer my question. For purposes of saying in certain individuals, some 20 people went to the governor's brother's house, and for purposes of saying there are people working at the deputy governor's house that were not meant to be there, have you brought the deployment record showing where those people were supposed to have been deployed to?
No, Mr. Speaker.
You haven't. Now, you said one of the criteria you used to come and testify to this Senate is that there were no letters of deployment, isn't it?
They were not officially deployed.
Did you use the word letters of deployment?
Yes.
A few minutes ago.
About the 4 officers.
So the 20 plus the 4, have you brought us the deployment letters so that this Senate can know very clearly that this person who went to the deputy governor's house or the one who is working at the deputy governor's house had a letter of deployment to a different place, but is erroneously in a different place? Have you given us their letters of deployment?
No.
Okay. And you've also said, or rather, let me ask you, do you have an HR manual at the county assembly?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. You haven't given us that manual, have you?
No.
Okay. Who are the enforcement officers answerable to?
Enforcement officers are answerable to me as the director of enforcement.
To you, okay. And that's what the manual says. The HR manual says they're answerable to you.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, in the body of that manual, is there anywhere which designates the deputy governor as one of the people to whom they are answerable to?
No.
Okay. And lastly, you say you've come here to tell us what the sub-county ward administrator told you, isn't it?
It is my deputy in charge of sub-counties.
Yes, but that's not the question I've asked you. I've asked you, as you stand here, your testimony to this Senate is what the sub-county ward admin told you, isn't it?
No.
It is based on?
On my deputy who's in charge of sub-counties.
And how did he get that information again?
He did investigations.
And he communicated to the sub-county ward administrator?
He communicated to the sub-county admin, not to ward administrator.
Now, if we really wanted to know for a fact that indeed 20 people went to the deputy governor's house, that indeed there are people who are not deployed, the best person would have been that sub-ward county admin, isn't it? That is the person who has the raw information, is the one who is immediately in that vicinity, isn't it?
Yeah, but he failed to report.
Sorry?
He failed to report.
That's not what I've asked you. I'm saying that is the person who would have told this Senate directly that I know for a fact that there are 4 people working there who have not been designated to work there, and there are 20 people who went to deputy governor's house. That is the person who would say that, isn't it? From personal knowledge.
The enforcement officers...
Please understand my question. My question is, the person who has personal knowledge of whether or not there are 4 people working at the deputy governor's house, and whether or not 20 people went to effect arrest is the sub-county ward admin, isn't it? That is the person right on the ground.
There is a sub-county commander who reports to me.
Okay. So who knows for a fact, who is the most immediate person to the vicinity of the house of the deputy governor and who would know which people went to his house? Who would be?
The sub-county enforcement commander.
Sub-county enforcement commander, isn't it? That is the person who would have told this Senate directly what happened, isn't it?
The sub-county commander reports to me.
Sorry? Reports to you.
Yeah.
But as a question of a witness, that would have been the best witness for the Senate to know for a fact whether what you're saying is true or not, isn't it? You're telling us what you are told. It's not what you know.
Mr. Speaker, I'm in charge of the Directorate of Enforcement.
And what you're telling the Senate is what the sub-county enforcement commander told you, isn't it?
Yes.
And I know my colleague, Mr. Mutuma, asked you whether you came here under coercion, whether you are threatened, whether, and so on and so forth. Why was it necessary to be careful about that? Why was it necessary that they take precaution that you do not be seen as a weaponized witness? Why was it necessary to do that?
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
I am in charge of...
No. Just asking, why defensive when nobody has made an accusation against you? Why is there that defensive sense that you might have been a weaponized witness? Why?
I learned that my Director of Enforcement is implicated in this case.
Okay. Now, isn't it true that the sub-county enforcement commander knows for a fact that the 4 people working at the deputy governor's place are designated to do that job and was not ready to come and lie, and that you are the only one who was available to give a distorted truth of the fact?
Mr. Speaker, I came here as the in charge of enforcement and compliance, Kisii County Government.
Why didn't the person who knows come?
I take responsibility as the in charge.
I put it to you that it is because you are more malleable and because you've been acting for forever, and you are hoping that by giving this testimony, you will graduate into a confirmed position.
Honorable Senators, that's not true.
Now, as we speak today, Honorable Speaker, can I just have 3 minutes? I'll be done.
Very well, Council.
Thank you
Conclude
very
in the
much,
next
sir.
3 minutes.
As you speak today, do you know where all the population of your enforcement officers are?
Yes, I know.
Since when?
This morning.
Since this morning. So before that, when you are acting, when you are deputy, all that, you never knew where your people are, including the 20 that went to arrest and the 4 that were deputy governors. You didn't know.
You asked as I'm seated, I'm standing here.
Yes. And before that, did you know?
I know.
Did you know?
I know.
I'm not asking about today. We
know.
are talking about your testimony saying there are 4 people in deputy governor's place you didn't know.
I know about the 4. And I said here that I complained to my boss.
After the impeachment
Before
proceedings?
the impeachment motion.
Sorry?
Before the impeachment motion.
Have you given us any document
No.
showing that you had raised any issues before that?
No, but I can provide evidence.
Lastly, did you say that the deputy governor is not entitled to be designated any staff to assist him? Is that your position?
I talked about the enforcement officers. There are no provision.
I will ask you again. Is the deputy governor entitled to some staff at the expense of the county?
I know.
They are entitled to?
They're entitled, but not enforcement officers.
Okay. Now, as you testify today, do you have anything to tell this assembly that indeed the people who are designated to serve the deputy governor are this and this, and instead of those ones, these ones went? Do you have anything to show that there is a variance between the people intended vis-a-vis the people who are actually there?
I could not be having the evidence.
Answer my questions directly. Do you have any document to say Hagai was supposed to be there, but instead of Hagai, it is somebody else?
No.
You don't have it.
Any re-examination?
I'll be very brief, Honorable Speaker. David, you have been asked whether
you have identified the personal staff of the Deputy Governor and your enforcement officers. The question is, do personal staff of the Governor, Deputy Governor, under your direct control?
No.
And are you here speaking about his personal staff or your own staff?
I came to talk about enforcement officers.
Now, you have also been asked whether you have brought a document complaining about the 4 officers, about the report that you forwarded to your boss, correct?
Yeah.
Do you have your complaint letter about the 4 officers?
The complaint about the 4 officers, it was done immediately. I resumed office.
And it was done before the impeachment?
And it was done before the impeachment.
Now, you have also been asked whether it is you who ought to have come here or it was your deputy director at the sub-county level. The question is, who complained at the county assembly level?
I raised the complaint.
You raised a complaint. Are you the author of the statement at the county assembly level?
I am.
Is it pursuant to that statement that you were summoned?
That is true.
Now, you've also been asked about whether you have brought documents or records about the deployment of the 20 enforcement officers and whether the employment letters for your officers. Now, when did you receive the summons?
I received the summons yesterday.
And when you received the summons, to your understanding, what were you coming to speak to?
I was come and talk about the deployment of the enforcement officers.
And if you had enough time, would you supply those documents?
Yes.
You have also been asked whether the record, whether you have done the investigations correctly, correct?
Yeah.
And the question is, what did the preliminary investigations report reveal to you, to the extent that you're not able to mention the name of the 4 officers or the 20 enforcement officers this morning?
The preliminary report indicates that it is true. 20 enforcement officers were mobilized and deployed to execute an operation. And about the four,
are investigations complete?
The investigations are on.
They're ongoing. So are you able to reveal the names of the said enforcement officers at this juncture?
I am able to reveal the names of all enforcement officers that are attached to Nyaribari sub-county.
My question is, while investigations are ongoing, would you compromise the investigations by revealing the names of the officers at this point?
No.
Now, I believe you're a permanent and a pensionable employee of the county government, correct?
Yes.
So who is your employer?
Kisii County Government.
Were you recruited by the county government, the County Public Service Board?
Yes.
So who is do you serve under the mercy of the governor?
No, I serve for the county government of Kisii.
Now, you mentioned, or you have also been asked, the person who deployed the 20 enforcement officers, you correctly put was who?
The sub-county administrator and the sub-county commander.
Does the sub-county administrator have the mandate to deploy?
No.
And is that the reason why even your own deputy did not have the knowledge of it?
Yes.
That's a, Honorable Speaker, I cede the witness to the members.
Thank you. The witness may retire. Now we're going to move to hear the case of the deputy. Yes, Honorable Senator Crystal, what is your intervention?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Speaker. I just have a point of clarification I hope that you can guide. It's with regard to the summons letter that was sent after your directive yesterday through the clerk's office for the witness to appear in front of us. I just wanted a clarification as to whether the summons indicated or outlined the documentation and the material evidence that this witness would need to appear with here this morning, and also if he would need to have them in 67 copies for each senator to have, just so that we understand what was required of him to bring when appearing to us. Thank you.
Could I get a copy of the summons so that we are very clear on the contents of the summons? Yes, Senator Fernandi, what is your clarification?
Just a quick one to the witness, Mr. Speaker, sir. The acting sub-county, acting deputy director, I have only 3 questions. One, these 4 officers that were deployed at the DG's office, when were they deployed? Because you are saying there are 20 that were sent to assist in the arrest, and you are saying there were 4 from your letter, from your document, that were illegally and unlawfully sent there. So when was the date? Do you have those facts? Number 2, in your report, you have said, in your report, I'm trying to go quickly, Speaker, you have said acting deputy director of enforcement has said that that some enforcement officers at the DG's home are doing manual work is a matter under investigation. Are you aware what these 4 officers were doing? And finally, Mr. Speaker, because there are only 3, are you able to provide, have you ever, as the acting deputy director or as the acting director, have you able to visit the DG's home and check what your officers are doing there? And finally, how long have you been acting as at that position? I thank you, Speaker.
Witness, proceed to
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I said about 4 enforcement officers. I landed immediately. I received office on 11th August 2023, and I've hitherto complained in writing. About the 20 enforcement officers, it came to my knowledge when the motion was being discussed at the County Assembly. Honorable Speaker, the issue about enforcement officers doing manual, as reported by my Deputy Director in charge of sub-counties, is a matter that is under investigations. And once the investigation is complete, I shall report to my chief officer who is in charge of my department. About visiting the home of His Excellency the Deputy Governor, I can attest that I've visited there once when I was immediately at the SIMT office. And this is the time I realized that there are 4 enforcement officers who are deployed there without any documentation, and I have complained about it. How long I've acted? This is the 7th month now, since 11th August of 2023.
Senator Chute, any question or clarification you're seeking?
Question, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I have 2 questions. Question number 1 is to the witness. How long have you worked as in the capacity of acting director? Number 2, the 4 officers who were deployed at the Deputy Governor's house, who is supposed to take responsibility? Is it the Deputy Governor or your office? Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, I was appointed to act as the acting director of enforcement on 11th August 2023, and that means that I've been acting for the last 7 months. About the 4 enforcement officers who are working at the Deputy Governor without official deployment, I take the responsibility. And I've said before this Senate that immediately I learned about this development, I wrote a complaint letter to the chief officer in charge. asking him to seek, to take it up.
Senator Enoch, what's your clarification?
Thank you, Speaker. To the witness. Question number one, when exactly did you get to know about the mobilization and deployment of officers to the home of the Deputy Governor? Secondly, according to your own records, the incident happened on 20th of December, 2023, but the first letter that you've written on this matter is on 1st of March. Why did it take too long for you to demand an explanation? And lastly, at the time of your demand letter to your deputy, had the impeachment proceedings against the Deputy Governor started? Thank you. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I learned about the deployment of the 20 officers at the Assembly when the motion of impeachment was being discussed. And upon learning that, as an officer who is in charge of that directorate, I felt that my department is implicated, and I thought it's prudent for me to take a statement and shed more light about that incident. That is on 29th of February 2024. The following day was 1st March. That is when I wrote a letter to my deputy director in charge of sub-counties, instructing him to start investigations and report to my office what transpired on that date of 29th December 2023, and explain to me why this information did not reach our office. On 4th of March, my deputy writes to me after undertaking preliminary investigations, and he confirms to me that indeed the 20 enforcement officers were mobilized and they assisted in the arrest of our Deputy Governor, his brother, at his home at Keumbu. And why it take long, Honorable Senate, is a question that all of us we need to understand, that this occurrence is happening in the home, the home of a Deputy Governor, and the sub-county commander is involved in this arrangement, and the sub-county admin. The reason why they did not report to me as usual is an issue that requires further investigations and disciplinary action taken against them. And I've recommended in my letter, if you can see, the letter I did dated 8 March 2024 to the chief officer, that the sub-county, the second last paragraph, the sub-county administrator and the sub-county commander failed to report to office as required of them. Reason well known to them, and I forwarded the chief officer for further action.
Senator Mandagu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I would like to ask the witness one, who is in charge of civil servants at the sub-county level? And two, what position did you serve before being appointed acting director of enforcement?
Honorable Speaker, at the sub-county level, the person who is in charge of enforcement officers is the sub-county enforcement commander, who reports also to the sub-county administrator. The sub-county commander reports to my office directly on matters of enforcement. Upon the position I held before I became the acting director of enforcement, I have been the deputy director of enforcement in charge of Kisii municipality.
Now, as regards to the issue raised by Senator Christo Lesige, I will read the summons so that you may appreciate the contents of the summons. To Mr. David Hagai Oyagi, whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act 2012, on Thursday, the 29th of February 2024, the Kisii County Assembly approved a motion for removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Dr. Robert Onsare Monda, the Deputy Governor of Kisii County. And whereas by a letter dated Wednesday, 1st March 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate, on the 2nd of March 24, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kisii informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents and evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(5) of the County Governments Act, Cap 265, and Standing Order 81B2 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate, at a sitting held on Thursday, the 7th of March 2024, resolved to investigate the matter in plenary within 10 days. And whereas following the resolution of the Senate at a sitting held on Thursday, the 7th of March 2024, the Clerk of the Senate issued invitation to appear to the County Assembly of Kisii and to the Deputy Governor of Kisii County, inviting them to appear and be represented before the Senate during its investigations and to file with the Office of the Clerk of the Senate various documents relating to the matter. And further, by a letter reference CAK/3/1/C/CS/002, 2024, dated the Friday, 8th of March, 2024, Honorable Dr. Philip M. Nyanumba, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kisii, in response to the invitation to appear and pursuant to Rule 10 of the third schedule to the Senate Standing Orders, requested the Senate to summon you to appear before the Senate. And further, whereas by the Speaker's ruling made during the hearing of the Senate on Wednesday, the 13th of March 2024, the Senate acceded to the request by Honorable Dr. Philip M. Nyanumba, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kisii, on behalf of the County Assembly of Kisii. And whereas Article 125 of the Constitution, Sections 18 and 20 of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, Cap 6, and Rule 10 of the third schedule to the Senate Standing Orders, empower the Senate or its committees to summon any person to appear before it for purpose of giving evidence or providing information. Now, therefore, the Senate hereby summons you to appear before the Senate in person on Thursday, the 14th of March, 2024, at 2 p.m. at the Senate Chamber, Main Parliament Buildings, Nairobi, to do the following. 1, produce your appointment letter. 2, confirm if the persons who are said to be working in the Deputy Governor's home are officials in the county. Take note that should you fail to attend before the Senate on the date and time specified in this summons, or to produce the documentation required by the Senate may impose upon you a fine not exceeding 500,000 shillings, or may order for your arrest pursuant to Sections 19(1) and 19(3), respectively, of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, Cap 6, and 2, you shall also be guilty of an offense as stipulated under Section 27(1)(a)(1) and 27(1)(c)(2), respectively, of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, Cap 6, for which you shall be liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 200,000 shillings, or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months, or to both such fine and imprisonment. Given under my hand, for and on behalf of the Senate, this 13th day of March 2024. Signed by J.M. Nyegenye, CBS, Clerk of the Senate. Honorable Sige, I hope then that clarifies your issue. Proceed.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for giving us that clarification. Yes, you mentioned the two items that he was required to appear for and with, and one is his appointment letter, as I've heard correctly, and to confirm about the officers that have been spoken about here. Thank you very much.
Senator Christo. Senator Kavindu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When the witness was answering the question, he was asked by Senator Wambua, I think he contradicted himself, because when the lawyer was asking him questions, he said that he's aware of where his officers are all the time, every day. But this particular one, he said that he was not aware until when at the count assembly. Can you clarify that, Mr. Speaker?
Proceed, witness.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to say that it's true, I'm aware all the time where my enforcement officers are. But in this particular case is an unusual one, whereby enforcement officers are mobilized, deployed, go and effect an arrest without any report to my office. And that is why when I learned of this, Honorable Speaker, I took an action of instructing my deputy to explain why this lapse of not reporting to my office. And the report that my deputy gave is that the sub-county administrator and the sub-county commander who are in charge of this operation failed to report, reason well known to them, and I have advised that action be taken against them.
Senator Katuri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mine are just two simple questions. I want the witness to go on record. Mr. Witness, under whose command are the enforcement officers in Kisii County Government? And number two, does the Deputy Governor have any mandate on deployment of these enforcement officers? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The county enforcement officers of the government of Kisii are under the command of the Director of Enforcement. And whether the Deputy Governor has the right to command enforcement officers is no.
Senator Kaduri.
The name, specific name of the director.
Proceed, witness.
Honorable Speaker, the Director of Enforcement is the witness standing before the Senate, and I'm acting in that capacity. And my name is David Hagai Oyagi. I'm in charge of the enforcement officers.
Senator Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Could the witness kindly tell us, before he became the deputy, what he was doing? And secondly, whether there's a routine duty roster? And thirdly, when there is a crisis, how they allocate the duties and who sits in that meeting? Thank you, Speaker.
Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, before I joined, I assumed office of the Director of Enforcement. As the acting director, I was the deputy director, but in charge of the municipality. And about the deployment and how we react, normally in these operations, if there's an incident happening at the sub-county level, the person who's in charge of those officers is the sub-county enforcement commander, who reports to director's office directly or through the deputy director of enforcement in charge of sub-counties. And once the office is aware, we take charge of that activity, and we monitor closely so that we can be able to report accordingly.
Senator Manzo.
Now, in this particular activity, whereby there was an arrest and there was 20 officers, did you direct it? Did you sanction it?
Honorable Speaker, I want to respond by saying that this particular case or incident happening on 29th of December 2023, I didn't sanction it. I was not aware about it. Actually, as I've said in this house, is that I learned it at the assembly. And that's why when it came to my knowledge that one of the reasons that Honorable Deputy Governor is being impeached on is the issue of deployment of the 20 enforcement officers to arrest his brother.
Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my clarification arises from the assertion by the counsel for the DG that the witness serves at the pleasure of the governor of Kisii. Mr. Speaker, the County Government Act, Section 35, gives the governor the responsibility to form and appoint, with the approval of the County Assembly, the County Executive Committee. The same act, in Section 59, gives the power of appointment of the rest of the staff to the County Public Service Board, which appointed the witness. So, my clarification is, in view of this provision, is the counsel of the defendant going to be magnanimous enough to come and rescind that statement so that it is not in record that this witness serves at the pleasure of the governor of Kisii and that he is appearing this morning purely to canvass to be confirmed in his acting capacity? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Counsel for DG.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the question and the fact that the witness acts in an acting capacity was the reason for the contention that he acted under at the pleasure, not at the direction, at the pleasure of the governor, who will ultimately, following directions from the County Public Service Board, be responsible ultimately to his final substantive appointment.
Very well. We will allow the witness to retire and now proceed with the defense of the Deputy Governor. Counsel for Deputy Governor, it is now your time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Our first witness is Mr. Joseph Misati. Mr. Speaker, sir, do I proceed or I hold on?
Now, counsel for the Deputy Governor, you have 4 hours to put your defense. Depending on how many witnesses you intend to call, you need them to work within those 4 hours. And we are going to adjourn at exactly 1 p.m. to reconvene at 2:30. So kindly have that in mind, that you have 4 hours within which to put your case forth. Proceed.
Before my time starts running, Mr.
It's already
Speaker,
running.
Could I request for 2 accommodations, Mr. Speaker, sir? You recall yesterday when we dealt with the first witness, we had a situation where the time tended to go out of hand because there was no limitation, both in terms of evidence in chief and cross-examination. Subsequently, we had a situation where you required of us to declare how much time we need in evidence in chief and cross-examination. And I would request that we adopt the same approach so that my colleagues for the county do not squander my time in the course of cross-examination.
Now, Council, if we may adopt we've just had this witness who just retired. If you can be able to just adopt the time indication as we've observed with this witness, I think that would be a good guiding principle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Examination took 20 minutes, cross-examination 15 minutes, re-examination 10 minutes.
This witness is fairly substantive. I intend to use 30 minutes, but I will manage my time.
So then, Council, let's agree this way, that your examination, evidence in chief, you'll do 30 minutes.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Cross-examination then will take 15 minutes, re-examination 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir, if you may allow me, because you've given directions as to cross-examination. And yesterday, when we were dealing with the crucial witness, my learned senior, Mr. Keegan, took approximately 1 hour, 20 minutes with the key witness. We may not be much interested with the witness that he has now just subpoenaed, but when it comes to the real culprit, we would request the Senate to relax the rules so that we are able to effectively bring out the fictitious story.
Let's cross the bridge when you get there.
Number 2, Mr. Speaker, sir, perhaps our senior needs to put on record his appearance so that we may not have strangers.
Mr. Speaker, sir, my name is Katwa Keegan, and the witness I'm calling is Mr. Misati, assisted by my office assistant, Mr. Sagini. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I thought you would require of my colleague to withdraw the use of the word culprit.
That is unparliamentary, and therefore I order that to be expunged from the record.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and he has whispered an apology to me, and I accept it.
The Council for the County Assembly was alleging a presence of a stranger in the representation.
May I explain, Mr. Speaker, sir?
Council for the County Assembly, are you now comfortable?
Well, to the best of our remembrance is that Mr. Katwa Keegan did indicate his appearance yesterday, and therefore we expect and anticipate that the same shall not be adjusted to suit his circumstances.
Proceed, Council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
It's okay. This text, it's it's okay.
I, Joseph Doyle Misati, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before the Senate in respect of the matters before the Senate shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
We proceed directly. Could you tell for the record your full name? Oh, you've given the full names. What do you do for a living?
Me, I am a retired civil servant, and for my living, I've got some small businesses, and I have some dairy cows.
So you have dairy cows. Your son yesterday said you also run an M-Pesa business?
That's it. That's why I've said that I've got small businesses, including M-Pesa.
Okay, I'll just ask so that the Senate has the benefit of understanding you. How old are you, if you don't mind?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am 68 years old.
And you said you're a retired civil servant. What were you doing before your retirement?
Aaron?
What were you doing before your retirement in civil service?
Me, in the civil service, I was a livestock officer in veterinary section.
Okay. And lastly, do you have any religious affiliation and any church standing?
And?
Do you have any religious affiliation and do you enjoy any office in church, if you do?
Mr. Speaker, sir, by religion, I am a Catholic, and even when I was in Form 1, I tried to go to Rakwaro Seminary, where I intended to be a priest, but I fell on the way.
Okay, and so you are a Catholic as we speak now?
Correct.
Okay. And Dennis, who was a witness yesterday, is your son, is it true?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
And I would like you to be shown the honorable members, the Deputy Governor's defense, page 59 to 62. I would like you to be shown that page 59 to 62. Do you have it? Could you confirm that is the statement that you made in respect to this case?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Now, do you know Dr. Monda?
Mr. Speaker, sir, very well.
You know him. How do you know him?
His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kisii County, Dr. Robert Monda, we have known each other more than 32 years.
You have been friends for over 32 years?
Yeah.
And apart from being friends, have you stated in your affidavit that you worked together also at various points in your civil service?
Mr. Speaker, sir, yes.
You've worked together. Now, I'd like to move on because of time. And before we go into the details, yes, you are aware, you know what the Dr. Monda, your friend, has been accused of, being that he received a bribe from your son and that he threatened your son. You're aware of those allegations?
The allegation, I don't, yes.
You are aware?
Yes, I do.
You are also, you also heard what your son said in testimony, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so let's start with the first thing that your son admitted. Is it true that indeed, throughout the issues that this Senate is going to consider, whenever your son needed anything, he would tell you and then you would tell the Deputy Governor?
No, please.
Did the Deputy Governor have a direct conversation with Dennis?
Mr. Speaker, sir, no.
There's no point at which the two of them spoke directly to each other, isn't it?
It's me who do direct communication to His Excellency, the Deputy Governor.
Okay. And number two, he also said that it is true that the two of you, having been friends, were exchanging favors in terms of money, stocks, and goodwill between the families. Is that correct? Over the 32 years?
Mr. Speaker, sir, correct.
Okay. He also said that he relocated from Nairobi to Kisii, to your home state. Is that correct? At a certain point in the year 2023.
If I may explain, I say no. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is me who reallocated my son to move from Nairobi to homeland Kisii.
Yes, so that's what I was asking you. So basically, it is true that he moved from Nairobi to Kisii sometime in the year 2023, isn't it?
Somewhere 2023, and he came alone without his wife.
Okay. And it is also true, as he says, that you assisted him to relocate?
It is me who assisted him.
To relocate?
Yeah.
How did you assist him?
After he said he had been staying in Nairobi for more than 13 years, and there was little communication, me and my son. Now I decided, because I'm aging, I tried now to see how I can bring all my children together. Then I made an effort to look for him. Then somewhere between April and May, between April and May, I called him back to home.
Mr. Misati, just let me manage, because of time, let me just manage what you're saying. So basically it was, whose idea was it for him to relocate?
Pardon?
Whose idea? Was it your idea, or?
It was my idea, Mr.
It was
Speaker,
your idea, and you facilitated his relocation?
Correct.
Okay, let's move on then. Now, he says that your testimony, both at the assembly and your testimony today, which is captured in your statement, is meant to cause him to lose his money. What do you have to say about that?
About what?
That you want him to lose, what you're doing is to frustrate him getting back his money. What do you have to say about that?
That one, because I've not reached there, I don't know which money.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, then you want us to deal with that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll change my approach, then we come back. Let's then talk about the real issue that we are here about. Is it true that a certain sum of money was paid out to Dr. Monda on the 28th of May, 2023?
Mr. Speaker, yes.
It is true. Could you tell this Senate, this Honorable Senate, how that money was remitted?
Mr. Speaker, sir, on 28th of May, 2023, as usual and as friends, it is me who made appointment to see His Excellency the Deputy Governor at his home. And when I went with my 3 sons to his home. And as we were seated, had some social discussion with His Excellency the Deputy Governor about 20 meters from where I left my sons. That's the time the TG told me that he had given me money somewhere in October, November 2022 after elections, 500 shillings. Now, he asked me whether I'm in the position to refund his money. And in that connection, I told him, yes, I can try to refund the money. Then from my joint account with my wife, I transferred money from my account to His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, 73 times, and then 41,000, making 251. Now, because as we were discussing, he told me that he needs some money in cash. Then I told him now, because I don't have money in cash, what I'll do is to instruct my wife so that he can send money to my son, Dennis. And my wife did that by sending 250,000 in that process to go on to withdraw in the nearest market. But when we tried to get that money, it was late. And there was no shop which had that float. Therefore, I instructed my son to transfer that money to his deputy governor, to his excellency the deputy governor, Dr. Monda.
Okay. So I would like us to look at your statement and just to take the honorable senators through the payments, and I would like you to go to page 60, paragraph 11 of your statement, and I would like to correlate that with page 65 to 66, page 11 correlated with page 65 to 66. Are you at page 65? Okay, in paragraph 11, you're saying that I therefore refunded by paying 251 directly from my cooperative bank. You can see that at paragraph 11.
Yes,
okay.
Mr. Speaker.
And then, so you paid 70,000 3 times and 41,000. I would like us to go to page 65. Are you at page 65?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Could you confirm at page 65 that the remittances of 70,000 is reflected 3 times there?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
And I want you to turn over to page 66. Is it true that 41,000 is shown there?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
And could you confirm that this is money that was pulled out of your account, the joint account of yourself and your wife, directly to the M-Pesa account of Dr. Monda?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. And the name of the account is Joseph D. Misati and Anna N. Misati, isn't it?
Correct, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Now let's move on to paragraph 12. At paragraph 12, you said, I thereafter asked my wife to remit the balance of 249,000. I instructed her to remit the amount to my son Dennis. You can see that?
Correct, Mr. Speaker.
I would like to take you to page 75. '75 to 88, and I want us to go specifically to page 87. Are you at page 87? Your wife's M-Pesa statement is page 75 to 88, honorable members, the DG's bundle. And I would like you to go to page 88 particularly. Are you there?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Could you confirm that between 2001 and 1941, between the hours 1944 and 2001, your wife remitted the sum of 50,000, 50,000, and 150,000 to Dennis Misati as he appears on the face of that M-Pesa?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. And that constitutes a total of how much?
250,000, Mr. Speaker.
250,000. Now, what was the purpose of this remittance of the money?
The purpose of this remittance to my son, Dennis.
Sorry, no, I mean, so we've seen you pulled out 250 from your cooperative account and another 250 from your wife through Dennis, isn't it?
That's correct.
And then you sent to Dr. Monda, isn't it?
I instructed my son to send.
That's okay. So you sent it to Dr. Monda, this total of 500, isn't it?
Correct, Mr.
What
Speaker.
were you giving this 500,000 to Dr. Monda for? Why? What?
It was a refund, Mr. Speaker, sir. The money which he gave me in November, October 2022.
So it was a refund.
Yeah.
Number two, whose money was this?
The money was mine.
It was
yours.
ours. Sorry?
It was ours.
What does ours mean? Who and who?
I mean, me and my wife.
It was yours, you and your wife.
Yeah.
Was Dennis part of the ownership of that money, the 500,000?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Okay. Dennis says that he had given you this money and the two of you were holding this money on his behalf and that he gave you in cash. Is that true?
It's untrue, Mr. Speaker, sir.
It's not true that he had given you any money. It is not true that he had given you any money.
It's not true that he gave me any money.
Okay. And this money was yours with your wife?
Correct, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Now, and your position is that it was a refund. Was it a bribe?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir.
It was a refund, not a bribe.
Yeah, so it was a refund.
Okay. Now, let's just digress a little before we come back to the 300,000. You said, were you seated first of all, you said you went with how many sons?
3.
Was it 3 or 4 sons?
Okay. No, you see now I'm not counting the driver.
Okay. So how many were you? How many sons did you go with?
4.
4 sons. And yourself. You were 5 people in the Deputy Governor's house.
Correct, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Who initiated the idea of going to visit the governor?
Mr. Speaker, sir, it's me.
It is you who said, how did you initiate it?
This is not the first time. If I need to...
Because of time, just go answer my question directly.
Pardon?
Just answer my question directly. How was the idea of going to visit the governor?
Through a call.
By who?
By me.
To who?
To His Excellency the Deputy Governor.
So it is you who requested to go and see him?
Correct.
And when your son says in his statement and in his affidavit that it is the Deputy Governor who summoned you, is that correct?
No,
that's
Mr.
not
Speaker,
correct.
sir.
Okay, let's move on. Now, you said, were you then 5 people seated together, 6 people, you, Deputy Governor, and your 4 sons, were you seated together when this money is changing hands?
No, we were not seated together, and I think I'm repeating that after we entered his house, me and His Excellency the Deputy Governor, His Excellency Dr. Robert Monda, we moved aside about 20 meters to have our own social discussions.
So you went aside, the 2 of you?
Correct.
And the boys remained 20 meters away?
That is it.
Did they participate in your conversation?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir.
And so when Denny says they sat far away from you and that they did not participate in your conversation, that is true?
That is true.
Okay. Now, then at paragraph 14, it is said that you received, there is another 300,000 that was given to the Deputy Governor, paragraph 14. It is said, Denny says there was another 300,000 that was given in cash. What do you have to say in respect to that 300,000?
Mr. Speaker, sir, that's untrue, because if you look at my balance in the cooperative bank, I had more money if I were to give the 800 alleged.
I just want you to answer directly. Denny says you and him walked to the Deputy Governor's office at the stadium and handed over 300,000 in cash. That's what Denny says. You've seen that, isn't it?
Yes.
And my question is that true?
Untrue, Mr. Speaker, sir.
It's not true?
It's not true.
Okay. Did you ever give the Deputy Governor any 300,000 over and above the 500? Is there any other, apart from the 500 that we've seen, is there another 300,000 that you gave him?
There is no anyway. I've given you the 300,000.
As Denny says, okay. Now, I would like to move on to, at paragraph 16 to 17, it is said that this issue has been reported to EACC. You are aware of that contention that it has been reported to EACC, isn't it?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir.
You're not aware?
I'm not aware.
But you are aware that Denny says he has reported to EACC?
Yeah, I have heard.
You've heard from Dennis?
Yeah.
Now, the bank statement, the bank account from which the money was drawn is your cooperative bank account and your wife's M-Pesa account, isn't it?
That's it.
Has EACC summoned you to record a statement on that issue?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir.
They haven't, up to today?
Up to today.
Has your wife been summoned on this issue?
No, please.
Okay. Now, it is said also that Dennis wrote a demand letter for the payment. You saw that claim by Dennis, isn't it? A demand letter.
I have not seen that letter.
Just a minute. You are aware that Dennis says he wrote a demand letter to the Deputy Governor saying, give me back my 800,000. You saw that claim by Dennis, isn't it?
That claim, yes.
You saw that.
Yeah.
Is it true that you have ever seen a demand letter from Dennis?
Pardon?
Have you seen any letter of any letter demanding
No,
return
Mr.
of-
Speaker, sir.
You've not seen. It is said also by Dennis that threats were made at him. Dennis says the deputy governor threatened me. You've seen that?
I have not seen that, Mr. Speaker.
And I'm
sir.
saying you are aware that Dennis says that you threatened him.
Me, I threatened him?
No.
Or who?
So Dennis says that the deputy governor threatened him, threatened Dennis.
No, please.
No, I'm saying, are you aware of that claim by
I'm
Dennis?
aware.
You are aware?
Yes, please.
Now, are you aware of any threat emanating from the deputy governor to Dennis?
No, please.
Okay. Now, he says that threat was communicated to you, that the deputy governor told you, go and tell Dennis to keep away, or because he's trying to climb a mountain he cannot climb. That's what he says, the words he used. Were you sent by the deputy governor at any time to communicate any threat to Dennis?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir.
So when Dennis says the deputy governor sent you, your position is that you were never sent with any such threat?
I've never, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Then it is also said that Dennis sold a saloon. Are you aware of any saloon that Dennis had and or sold?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir.
You are not aware. Now, because of time, I'll just be brief on this other issue of other assistance. Is it, you heard Dennis say that you have been assisting each other for long, and you've just already admitted that, isn't it?
Correct, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Could you confirm that at paragraph 6 of your affidavit, you said how you have been consoling each other when you are bereaved together with the deputy governor? I'm just referring to the paragraph for the benefit of the honorable senators.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
And that specifically, Dr. Monda was there when you lost your mother, and you are there for him when he lost his daughter. You lost your mother in the year 2001, and he lost his daughter in 2018, and the two of you were together.
That's correct, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. At page, and you also borrowed each other acrobat stock as stated in paragraph 5, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
And then at page 67 of your bundle, at paragraph 24, you said that in the month of January 2024, over time, you've borrowed a total sum of 600,000 from Dr. Monda for various purposes.
Yeah, about 600,000 for my personal use.
And that you've captured at page 68, 71, and 70, the various amounts.
Correct.
Okay. And then at page 117A, you've shown there's another amount of 50,000. Could you go to 117? So the one we were just talking about at page 68, 71, and 70 was in the month of January 2024, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then at page 117A, you received another 50,000. Whom did you receive that 50,000 from?
His Excellency, the Baron?
Is it true that you received a sum of 50,000 in the year 2014 from Joyce Monda?
Yes, Your Excellency.
And who is Joyce Monda?
Joyce Monda.
Actually, Joyce Onsare, let's say.
Joyce Onsare.
Yes, who is she?
Is the wife of the Deputy Governor of Kisii.
Okay. And what was the basis of this money? What was it?
This is a usual transactions we have been making by borrowing, refunding, receiving, and refunding.
Okay. Lastly, in terms of the favors you give each other, I would like you to look at page 108 to 117. Page 108 to 117 is the bank statement of one Leah Onsare. Can you see that?
Yes.
Page 108 to 117. Who is Leah Onsare?
Leah Onsare.
Leah Nyanjera Onsare. Who is she?
Leah Nyanjera Onsare is the daughter of His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kisii.
And is it at page 111, there is a sum of 200,000 from Joseph Misati and Anna. That is your joint account. There is money from, there is Joseph Misati, Anna. You can see that?
Yes.
200,000.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
Yes. Could you tell the court what was happening, sorry, the Senate, what was happening there?
This money, the DG he instructed me